Welcome back to another FPL video. This will be the team selection for Game Week 20. I'll be talking about how I did in Game Week 19 and my transfer plans, talking about Erling Haaland, what I'm going to do about him, and talk about the latest updates surrounding him and how that influences my plans with the likes of Son, Salah, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. So there's a lot to discuss in this video. Be sure to drop a like and also get this to over 200 overall. Let's try to do that nice and early and also get to 23,000 subscribers. We're making good progress already. We hit 22,000 on Christmas Day, and in 2024 there's going to be many more goals to reach for likes, subscribers, channel members, patrons, and all of that. So let's get straight into this video talking about the Game Week 19 review, and then we'll move on to my transfer plans for Game Week 20. At this point in the season, I'm completely sick of goalkeepers because in the last 2 weeks, there's been a 13-point swing by benching Areola for Dubravka. West Ham kept clean sheets against Man United and Arsenal, whilst Dubravka got nothing pretty much in the last two, and he has been a woeful asset. Only one return against Fulham and one win out of 5 since Dubravka came into the team to replace the injured Nick Pope. So Dubravka has been a disastrous transfer. I thought it'd be a good move, and I just couldn't wait to get rid of Areola from my starting 11. And that's proven to be a mistake. So this season has been full of surprises, and now I definitely would be expecting Areola to start blanking in the so-called easier fixtures. That's the way the Premier League and FPL works at this moment in time. But Dubravka, another disappointing performance, only 2 points, and Chris Wood scored a hat-trick against his former club. The defence was good overall, but Saliba only 1 point, and ever since I've been waxing lyrical about him because I bought him in quite early on. He was getting me clean sheets, doing very well for me in UCL Fantasy and FPL, but in the last couple of weeks, it's all gone pretty poorly. Only a clean sheet against Brighton Hove Albion. Arsenal have 1 win out of the last 4 Premier League games. Defeats to Aston Villa and West Ham. I think their title charge, to be quite honest with you, is derailing as we speak. If they don't get a result against Fulham and Crystal Palace, then I think that's pretty much them out of the title conversation. Of course, it's only December. You can't win the title there, but you can also lose it, especially with some of the performances, some of the defending I'm seeing. But more importantly with Arsenal, they're not scoring their chances, as we'll get on to with Bukayo Saka. But things do look much better with my new signing, Trent Alexander-Arnold, an 8-pointer. He got a booking and still got 3 bonus points towards the end of that match. That goes to show how good of an FPL option he is. I would argue he's the best right now in the game, especially when Salah Son go off to their respective cup competitions, and Haaland is still injured at this moment in time. But with Trent, he also got 2 bonus points against Crystal Palace when he got no goal contributions, no clean sheet, and it was pretty much a 2-pointer, but he still managed to get 2 bonus points in that game. And from that point onwards, I think it's quite clear to see that he's a fantastic defender, by far the best right now in FPL. The final defender is Pedro Porro, who conceded 4 goals to Brighton, and he still got 2 bonus points and assists. That just goes to show how good of an option Pedro Porro is. I keep talking about him, and people say, oh, why'd you say Porro like that? Well, I just do. Not much I can do about it. It's the Spanish way of saying it. But either way, Pedro Porro is a good FPL option. He's on set pieces right now. There's so much to like. He's also very exciting to own. You're not going to get many clean sheets. It's just bonus points, assists, and vibes. I have been very bullish on Saka, but in the last month, that's 4 blanks in a row. Before that period, he didn't blank at all in home matches, and he was very consistent, and he didn't even have 4 blanks throughout the whole season up until the last month, and it's just been absolutely woeful there. And I have to say, Saka is very close to bordering on sell territory. He has to fix up. Stop with the dyeing the hair like Rashford. You don't want to play like Rashford, trust me. Saka needs to be his own player. And even before that, to be honest, he's just been pretty underwhelming. Even in some games where he got an odd assist late on against Brentford and he created many chances in that game, there's something missing. And the same goes for the whole Arsenal attack. 10 goals between Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka. That is simply not good enough. And if Arsenal want any chance of winning the title, they need to fix up big time. 0 goals from 30 shots against West Ham is simply unacceptable. That's 2 points for Saka. Do not captain him in any week coming up. I know Fulham looks like a great fixture, but the way Arsenal are playing, or at least attacking and finishing their chances, it's just not there. The only Arsenal player that has been quite convincing, at least in the attack, is Martin Odegaard, who played quite well yet again against West Ham. He also has been Arsenal's best player since coming back from his injury, and I think now we're starting to see the best of the Arsenal captain, but Saka really needs to fix up. Otherwise, he could be a sell very soon. The second midfielder is Bowen, who got an assist, and I have to be honest, I don't think the goal should have stood, but it did. There you go. There wasn't a conclusive angle to show that the ball was out, so they stuck with the on-field decision, and Bowen got a clean sheet point, the assist. And to be honest, you look at the midfielders, he's probably the best midfielder to replace Son and Salah right now, especially if Saka isn't going to fix up. And I think Bowen is going to continue to do well, even in the tougher games. Brighton looks quite difficult on the FDR, but he got 12 points against them in the reverse fixture. So Jarrod Bowen for me is maybe a season keeper. Let's wait and see how that evolves. And once Kudus comes back from the African Cup of Nations, of course he still has one more game week to go before that, then you could double up on the West Ham attack with those two. I'm still not convinced about the others. Areola in goal looks like a decent budget option, dare I say. But yeah, with West Ham, I know Paqueta will always catch the eye. He picked up an injury against Arsenal in the warm-up and was subbed off during the game. But Bowen and Kudus would be the best West Ham assets. And of course, with Kudus out of the equation very soon, Bowen is by far the best Hammers option. Now, the third midfielder is Salah. And of course he blanks when millions captain him. It's just pretty much the trend and the norm this season for the most popular captaincy options. So I'm not too surprised there. There's also the Christmas thing. Whenever he posts a message, his form dips. And also his record against Burnley isn't good. Only one goal against them in the Premier League, which is quite shocking. But that was Sean Dyche's Burnley. I thought, you know what? Against company's side, Salah will rip them to shreds. And he had a lot of shots on target, some good chances, but he didn't finish his dinner, unfortunately. The final midfielder is Heung-min Son, who picked up an assist for Alejo Vélez, who finally got some minutes for Tottenham. When is he going to get some more minutes? I don't know. Maybe now will be the time, especially when Heung-min Son goes off to the Asian Cup in Gameweek 21. But Son is so consistent as well now, and I have to say, he's by far the better option between him and Saka, and only Salah is better amongst midfielders. The highlight of my FPL week was Cameron Archer getting an assist in that 6-point relegation battle between Luton Town and Sheffield United. Luton Town scored 2 goals in the last half an hour despite having 0 shots at all because of the own goal scored by Sheffield United's defenders. It's absolutely unbelievable, but the most important thing to take away is that Archer got an assist. I kept him, started him this time, and he's actually got pretty good numbers in terms of XG and expected assists under Chris Wilder. So in terms of budget forwards, apart from Chris Wood, I would say Cameron Archer is the second best. Remember with Semenyo, who's also fairly decent, he's going off to African Cup of Nations in Gameweek 21 with Ghana. Solanke wasn't that good against Fulham, it has to be said, but he scored a penalty. That's another return. He's the best forward in the game right now, up until Haaland returns, of course, and you have to say his consistency is unbelievable. It's Tottenham next. You see the way they're defending. They're playing Emerson Royale and Davis as centre-backs. Dyer is the alternative. Romero's out for 4 to 5 weeks. Do not bench Solanke against Tottenham. That's all I'm going to say on that matter. The final forward is Ollie Watkins, and as I discussed in my Transtips video, he is still a hold. You do not sell him ahead of Burnley at home and those fixtures coming up for Aston Villa. I've already learned my lesson. I did the same mistake twice by selling Watkins and being punished on both occasions. I'm not going to do it a third time. It'd be typical now if he starts blanking for a long period of time like a Saka, but I'm just going to keep hold of Watkins and maybe at least jinx him. You know, if I'm not going to get the points by selling him, then I'm not going to get the points by keeping him and jinxing him. Honestly, I don't really care about that matter. That is my starting 11. Let's talk about the captaincy, my rank, before moving on to the Gameweek 20 team selection. Overall, it was a decent week, but I was expecting more, especially given how the game week started for me with all the returns I was getting. But 48 points, 1,081 overall, and my rank is 421,000. I think the green arrow is by around 50,000 places or so. Honestly, I'll take it, but it should have been better. The captaincy yet again leading to a swing, and all of this is building up. My captaincy this season has been horrific. It typically is better than this. Not much better, but it's definitely an improvement on what I'm seeing. And Son, Solanke, Trent, who are all considerations for the captaincy for me, all would have done better than Salah, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. I've got to take it and sort out the captaincy fast. And also my goalkeepers. I keep on benching Areola. From now on, I'll start him. I'm looking forward to his constant blanks coming up. But that's the nature of the game, and FPL is a game of suffering, yet we keep on coming back to it. Let's now head over to the Gameweek 20 team selection portion of this video to discuss my transfer plans, the captaincy, and much more. Brace yourselves for the inevitable blanks that will be coming Areola's way, because of course Brighton is a tough fixture and a clean sheet is very unlikely anyway against them. But even in the easier games coming up, I wouldn't expect West Ham to keep clean sheets there. They kept them against Man United and Arsenal, but I don't think they'll do it against the easier teams who will be sitting back a little bit more, and the impetus will be on West Ham to break them down, and that's where they could be caught on the counter-attack instead. Areola is good value for his price, but whenever I've started him, he's been absolutely useless. I don't think he's kept one clean sheet for me this season, so I don't expect that to change anytime soon. My alternative is Dubravka, facing Liverpool, Manchester City and Aston Villa back-to-back. I'm not going to start him in the upcoming free game week, so well done, Areola. Let's see what you can do right now. If you can get any points, that'd be more than welcome. My defence looks decent this week. Saliba's away to Fulham. It was a 3-0 win at Craven Cottage last season, but it's a new campaign, and Fulham got a 2-2 draw at the Emirates. That was one of many results that's made me question Arsenal in the long term, at least for this season, and competing until the very end. My second defender is Trent at home to Newcastle. That's a very good fixture at this moment in time. Newcastle still create chances and always look threatening, but their away record is shocking. They're almost in the bottom three on their travels, and I don't expect them to get any result at Anfield, which is the toughest place to go at this moment in time. My third defender is Pedro Porro at home to Bournemouth, and that looks like a great fixture when you say Bournemouth, but they're actually the most informed team in the league. They've accumulated 21 points out of the last 27 available, so they're a good football team. Iraola should win Manager of the Month, and I think Spurs will concede, but the hope with Pedro Porro is they'll get some attacking returns and maybe some bonus points. We're approaching last saloon territory with Saka. He is on course to get 200 plus FPL points if he can replicate what he's done in the first half of the season, and his numbers are identical to last season at this stage, but in the last month, that's 4 blanks in a row. He has to deliver now with these upcoming fixtures. Otherwise, he could be a sell. I'm still backing him to be one of the best Salah or Son replacements, but I need to see a dramatic improvement in terms of performances and FPL output. The second midfielder is Jarrod Bowen. I think right now he is the number one pick to replace Salah and Son, and he's facing Brighton at home. 12 points last time out. He could do something similar and tear Brighton to shreds on the counter-attack, and I think West Ham could be a bogey team to these teams that like to dominate, like Arsenal and Brighton and Hove Albion. The third midfielder is Salah, and it's worth mentioning that Newcastle have by far the most expected goals conceded in the last 5 game weeks of any team. I think it's around 12, and in second place, or the second bottom, would be Nottingham Forest with just under 10. So there's a huge difference between Newcastle's defence and the rest of the league in the last 5 game weeks, and that's why Dubravka and all these Newcastle defenders, it's very tough for me to say start them when they have 3 of the toughest games coming up in the next 3 game weeks. So Salah is a great captaincy option. Now Cole Palmer is away to Luton Town. I'm sure people will be asking me, should I captain Cole Palmer? It's not a bad shout, but away from home, and Luton have been fairly good recently, I'm not so sure if I'd go in this direction. I think from these midfielders, I'd rather go for Bowen as a captaincy option. Salah, of course, would be a prime candidate, and the same goes for Heung-min Son at home to Bournemouth. But like I said, I think Spurs will struggle here. There's probably going to be a lot of goals on both ends, and Spurs have a great record against the Cherries, but I think Bournemouth could get a result here, but let's wait and see what happens. Can Heung-min Son still deliver while Spurs lose? Of course he can, and that's why he'll be a great consideration for the captaincy. Another captaincy contender would be Ollie Watkins at home to Burnley. There's so many shouts this week, especially if Erling Haaland does miss out and Pep Guardiola isn't trolling us. But Watkins has been a troll himself in the last couple of weeks. At home to Sheffield United, captained by millions, he blanks. Only 1 return from his last 5 game weeks, which is when a lot of people sold him. So that's the way Ollie Watkins is. What can you do? It's in his nature. But over the course of the season, he's going to score the most points amongst any forward, with the exception of Erling Haaland. The last forward in my team is Solanke away to Tottenham. There is a clash between Pedro Porro and Solanke, but they can both haul in the same game due to attacking returns. Solanke can't be benched in my opinion with the way Spurs are defending. I think they'll concede 2 or 3 goals, Tottenham, in my opinion, and Solanke is very likely to be involved. So let's now talk about the captaincy, my bench, and iron out a few other details that need to be addressed. My bench is as follows: Dubravka, Cash, Archer and Lascelles. Matty Cash got a brace and a massive haul against Burnley in the reverse fixture, but I just can't bring myself to start him at this moment in time. And who do I even start him over? Maybe Saliba or Pedro Porro? That could be the consideration. And Archer's away to Manchester City. I'm quite happy to keep him on my bench. And Lascelles is still an injury doubt, but he could be available for Game Week 20. It is Liverpool away though, and I'm not expecting anything there for Newcastle United. I think Areola is firmly in my starting 11, and I think the rest of my team speaks for itself. And the same goes for the captaincy. Salah is facing an off-form Newcastle with so many injury problems. It's also a fixture at Anfield where Liverpool have arguably the best home record, whilst Newcastle are one of the worst teams away from home, and in the last 5 game weeks they've got the highest expected goals conceded, and they're leaking so many chances both home and away. So Salah is my current captain, Son is my vice. Other considerations will be Trent, Bowen and Watkins. Solanke and Saka will be outside shouts, but I can't bring myself to captain Saka at this moment in time, and I think Arsenal could struggle away to Fulham. So that is my starting 11. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Who will you be captaining? There is a poll out on my channel already. Let's now head over to Drafthound and fpl.team to discuss predicted points and a few other details. There is a link in the description below for Drafthound. Be sure to check it out. They are recommending Son to Foden, but that's more of a long-term transfer. That's a transfer they're recommending mainly for Game Week 21 onwards, because Son will be blanking from that period because of the Asian Cup, and he could be unavailable until Game Week 24 or 25. They're also saying Solanke to Alvarez based on the next 3 fixtures, and Bowen to Foden. I think Foden is in my considerations. I did discuss him in the transfer tips being a buy, especially if Manchester City get a double game week very soon. That is a possibility, of course. And also, I'm going to show you a few different tools with Drafthound. So if you click on this green tool here, the optimization, it will automatically set things up for you. So they've put Areola in the starting 11, also changed the captain and vice captain, and made a few other tweaks, and that's pretty much how I'm set up this week. The only difference is that I have Matty Cash first on my bench instead of Cameron Archer. And in terms of player rankings, if we check a few other details like chance of scoring, it is Alvarez who is top, and then you've got Ollie Watkins in second, Salah third, Son and Grealish complete the top 5. I think Grealish is quite a surprising pick there, to be honest. In terms of the fixture analysis, in terms of scoring over 2 goals, so the attacking potential, Man City and Arsenal are in the top 2. Then you've got Liverpool, Brighton and Tottenham, and I have to say I do agree with that, although maybe I'd put Liverpool just ahead of Arsenal based on recent form and finishing. There's also the player comparison tool, Foden versus Grealish. I know there's a lot of love for Grealish based on his recent goal scoring form, but I'd rather go for Phil Foden personally. And there's also the predicted lineup, so be sure to check this out. It's updated daily, so despite any kind of new updates we get from injury, suspensions, it's all going to be covered in the predicted lineups on Drafthound. So check the link in the description below. If you sign up as well, you'll be helping me out and I'll be helping you out. It's a great tool. There are so many different resources and I've been using it since the summer. I have a contingency plan just in case Erling Haaland is available for Game Week 20 and Pep Guardiola is lying. It goes to show how much I trust that guy, but Guardiola said on Erling Haaland, and I quote, "Still, he's not with the team. He feels better, but he hasn't made one training session with us. Hopefully in January, he can come back with us." And then after the game, he said, "It's not a stress or a fracture, but a question of when the pain will disappear. Hopefully in January. He's not like Foden, who is small and skinny. Erling is huge, so it's difficult at times. He'll be fine, and when he is, he'll be back and play." So in the case that Haaland is available, which I very much doubt, it would be Areola in goal, Saliba, Pedro Porro and Trent as the back line, a midfield 5 of Saka, Son, Bowen, Richarlison and Palmer, and a front 2 of Haaland and Watkins. But it would mean selling Salah and Solanke for a -4 hit, and I just don't like that. So even if Haaland is available and clear to play, he's in the predicted lineups and all of that, I still don't think I'll go through with this, but it's a contingency plan to get Haaland back just in case I really want him, and then the bench would be similar, or pretty much identical, Dubravka, Cash, Archer and Lascelles. But if we also look ahead to Game Week 20 and my plans to get Erling Haaland back for that period, in Game Week 21 should I say, then I'd be selling Salah and Son, and I could take a -4 hit there too. But to be honest, you could argue that it's not necessary and I could just start a Matty Cash instead away to Everton and not take that bullet of a -4 hit. But that is kind of similar. I'd buy in players like Diogo Jota, Phil Foden, Pascal Gross, Richarlison. They're all in my thinking. Even Martin Odegaard as well, depending on if Arsenal can fix up. And then that's how my team could look like in Game Week 21. But it all depends on Erling Haaland's fitness. He should be back in January. So based on that information that Pep Guardiola gave, Erling Haaland should miss out against Sheffield United in Game Week 20. So let me know your thoughts. What are your plans to get Erling Haaland back in? When are you going to do it? Who are your Son or Salah replacements? If you don't have them already, I think the likes of Bowen, potentially Odegaard look like the best choices right now. Richarlison's also a good shout. There are many midfielders that I've covered in the transfer tips, so be sure to check that out as well. And thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, then be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's try to get this video to the 200 likes, and let's keep on pushing towards 23,000 subscribers and beyond. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the links in the description below for the Patreon, Championships Discord server, the FPL League, and Drafthound, which I showed you a few minutes ago. I wish you all the best of luck for Game Week 20 and the rest of the season, and I'll see you next time.